A few weeks ago, I posted a video blog that basically discussed the reality that for those that are in crisis due to infidelity, or for those who've been through infidelity, both unfaithful and betrayed, you come across certain messages that you just go, man, that's not going to do it. And I had a resounding yes from thousands of people all over the world. And it really just kind of echoed some sentiments inside of me that I want to discuss today. And that is basically the premise that healing is really hard work. Not too long ago, I was meeting with Wayne, who's one of our therapists from the EMS weekend. He's become a great friend of mine over the last decade. He does some videos on our newsletter page at affairrecovery.com. And I started working through some childhood trauma that I really didn't even know was there. And there was a moment we were doing some work. And I don't know if you can relate to this, but it was one of those moments that was repairing some damage that happened to me when I was young. If you've ever felt your soul shake with pain and agony and almost a vulnerability that I've really never known before. In fact, I do know that vulnerability. I tried it once with the therapist about a month into recovery work, and it bombed incredibly, and I kind of made a commitment to never be that vulnerable again. And then I met Rick and slowly but surely learned how to become vulnerable. Here I am with Wayne a little while ago, sharing some pretty dark moments. Not pretty dark, probably one of the darkest times of my childhood. And I'm in this little office with Wayne, and it just shook my insides to the core. To the point where when I had to tell Samantha the story, I wept like a child. And it's all part of the timeline to recovery. Now, this is not necessarily an infidelity moment, but it's a moment that's very fresh, very vivid, and has happened in my life. I know if you're trying to heal, you have either had moments like that, are having moments like that now, or on the verge of hopefully having one or several moments like that. If you're going to heal from the devastation of infidelity, you're going to have to confront yourself. There's no way around it. In this little office, in this moment, I was confronting myself. Not this heavy-handed, pointing the finger at myself. No, I was confronting a dark period of my life that I had ran from for decades. Now, let me back up and be very real with you. Driving to the session that morning, I remember being on the freeway going, yep, not going to talk about that today. Nope, Wayne's going to want to talk about that. Nope, not going to do it. That's off limits today. Sorry, we'll talk about other stuff. And I remember sitting in the office, and the first thing Wayne said to me was, we're going to do some work today, and we're going to talk about this kind of trauma because I think it's time that we address it. And I about wet my pants in the office. I just felt inside of me and he goes, what's wrong? And I said, I don't want to do that. Now, we have a friendship relationship to a certain level, and he said, well, I would like you to do it because I think it'll be life-changing, but you don't have to if you don't want to. And I said, I don't want to. And he said, are you sure? And I said, no. And he said, it's up to you. And I said, what the hell? Let's do it. And I think 20 minutes later, I had gone through so much Kleenex and just was a complete mess that I remember at one point kind of breathing and going, I'm so mad at you. And he was like, I'm sorry. I said, I'm so mad at you. He goes, me? I said, yes, for making me do this. And we joked because I just needed a moment of brevity. If you're going to heal, whether you're unfaithful or whether you're betrayed, you're going to have to confront some poison inside of you. I posted on Instagram the other day that sometimes we are our own worst poison. I want to be clear. I'm not saying that you have to confront yourself in this angry, hostile, judging, shaming way. I mean, confronting some things that you may have ran from for decades. We want the magic wand approach. We want a therapist, we want a professional, we want somebody, anybody, God, somebody to just magic wand the pain away. We unfaithfuls are the biggest culprits because we want to magic wand our spouse. We want to men in black our spouse from their pain and their hurt and their agony that we have created. All the while, we are running from our own pain, our own hurt, maybe the very reasons that we have acted out in the first place. We want to run from that. Do you want to know why there's so many angry, bitter people? Just on the way into the studio today, I was reading some comments on Twitter from some people who are betrayed spouses who are just in agony and anger and are experiencing shame and all kinds of stuff on Twitter. And it's saddening to read that kind of stuff. But do you want to know why there's so many angry people who are lashing out, judging, shaming? It's because there's so many unhealed people. There's so many people who have not done the heavy lifting, that have ran from the heavy lifting of recovery work, of repair work. They are constantly running from the needs to repair their own damage. Forget about who's to blame. Forget about lashing out at the unfaithful or the abuser or what have you. Let's talk about the heavy lifting that we have to do if we want to heal. And I'm here to tell you personally, I know. I understand. I see you. I see your pain. I see you wanting to run from confronting something that stalks you or that you don't even know is there, but you know it's there, something's there, and you don't want to address that blackness, that darkness. Listen, there's so many people that are just full of rage and anger because they're not healed themselves. Here's something I've had to learn, and I've had to remind myself time and time again. Just because it's hard doesn't mean that I'm not healing. Just because it's hard doesn't mean that it's not working. Just because it's tough and excruciating doesn't mean that it's not worth it. So no matter how hard it is today, it doesn't mean that it's not working per se. It doesn't mean that you're not healing per se. But you're going to have to do the heavy lifting if you want to get on the other side of your pain and trauma. It can feel so alienating. You can feel like you've been dropped in a desert in the middle of absolutely nowhere. It can feel like a desert in your soul where nobody sees you, nobody gets you, nobody affirms you, nobody seemingly cares about you, and you just feel dead inside. There's so many memes out there about just, being dead inside. Because so many people, hundreds and thousands, millions of people at some point have felt that way or are walking through that temptation to just go dead inside. And then there's this moment of inspiration. We say, I'm going to do a little bit of work, and then it's hard as hell, and we go, nope, don't want to do that anymore. I want to just encourage you that even though it's hard, it doesn't mean it's not working. Healing is hard work. At some level, it should be, because there's going to be such breakthrough, such freedom for you personally. I know your spouse, your partner, I get it. There's any number of things that we can get lost in. Stay with me. Healing is hard work. And it doesn't mean that it's impossible. It can seem impossible. It can seem like you're doing circles in the ocean going, is this really working? Samuel, are you feeding me a line of bull? No. If you will commit to a timeline, to a process, if you'll get expert help and refuse to quit, I promise you, healing for you is possible.